Hey, what is up mortals? It is BubblyNami here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 3 of What If Eri Was in Class 1A. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. And so, we begin. Eri and Izuku woke up to see themselves face to face with a tall, muscular, blonde man. Blue pupils were the only thing you could see of his eyes, with the rest being hidden in the shadow cast by his forehead. He wore cargo pants and a plain white t-shirt that showed off his bodybuilder-esque build. Hey, wake up. Hey. Izuku and Eri's eyes widened as they grasped just who was standing in front of them. It was the number 1 pro hero, All Might. As the two teens looked on in shock, All Might sheepishly rubbed his head. Whoa there. I think we lost you two there for a second. Izuku sat in shock, with a look on his face that mimicked a small child seeing Santa Claus in the flesh. However, Eri's face read a different story. While she too was surprised to see the muscular hero in front of her, it wasn't due to a simple idol worship. Uncle Yagi? All Might was visibly irked as the proud facade he put on momentarily shambled as Eri realized her mouth slipped, covered her mouth in shock. Meanwhile, a starstruck Izuku looked at Eri, face paled and jaw to the floor. Uncle? All Might was your uncle and you never told me? The boy shouted, shocked. Eri stammered, searching her mind trying to find an excuse. However, she wouldn't have to, as All Might gave a hearty laugh and patted Eri's back while he rubbed his head with the other hand. Oh yeah, I remember now, All Might explained. I went to a rally at her school back in the day, and a much younger version of your friend here decided I was her uncle. Even Eri could tell that explanation was rushed. Yagi wasn't exactly the creative writer. However, the panicked look in the man's eyes was enough for Eri to see that the best plan of action would be to play along. Oh, yeah, Eri spoke. Now I remember. Getting attacked by that bad guy really scrambled my brain there for a second. All Might's posture relaxed a little, as he spared a grateful glance to the girl, before looking back at Izuku, who himself was having trouble buying the story. Wait, why did she call you Yagi? Hey, I notice you have a notebook nearby, All Might stammered, shoving the book to the green-haired teen. I know how most people react to seeing me, so I... He signed my book! Izuku squealed, all suspicion evaporated from sheer shock. Thank you so much! This'll be an heirloom, a family treasure, back for generations to come! Sensing any further questions to come to a halt, All Might's confidence soared back in him, as his posture straightened up. Well, I gotta take this guy to the police station so they can take care of him, All Might spoke, gesturing to a bottle containing the sludge villain from earlier. Stay out of trouble. See you two around. What? Izuku asked. You're leaving? Already? Sorry, young man, but heroes are constantly fighting time as well as enemies. Now stand back. I'm taking off. Thanks for all your continuous support. As All Might prepared to launch into the air, Eri's eyes widened in shock as she saw Izuku rush to grab All Might's leg without thinking. Eri quickly scrambled to her classmate, clutching onto the hero's other leg. All Might took notice of the sudden weight change and looked down in shock to see the two teens clutching on for dear life to his lower body. Hey, what do you think you two are doing? The panicked hero shouted. Let's go. I love my fans, but this is too much. While Eri's eyes remained sealed shut as she clutched on like a cat to a tree, Izuku looked up to face his idols, tears in his face and lips flapping with the wind. If we let go now, we'll die! All Might bit his lip in realization. I guess that's true. I just have a lot of things I wanted to ask you personally. You're my all-time favorite hero. All Might, please! All Might took a deep breath before responding. Okay, I get it. Just keep your eyes and mouth shut. Izuku nodded and did just as he was told. However, Eri took this moment to open one eye to see a number 1 hero coughing in his hand, blood coming out of his mouth. Uncle Yagi, Eri thought to herself. As the trio landed on the roof of the building, the teens took a moment to calm their nerves before looking back at All Might. My whole life just flashed before my eyes, Izuku muttered out. You're telling me? Eri gasped. That was very irresponsible of you two, All Might lectured. Bang on the door for a while, someone will let you in. Now I have to go. See you on the 5th side. Wait, Izuku shouted. Please, just one more second of your time. I'm sorry, kid, but I'm running a bit low on that right now. At this point, Eri stepped up. All Might, please, only for a moment. This is something he needs to hear from you. All Might looked back to Eri, intrigue now marked on his face. He hesitated before finally relenting. Okay, I'm all ears, but make it quick. Izuku gave Eri a grateful smile before turning to the symbol of peace. He took a moment to think about his words before speaking. Is it possible to become a hero even if I don't have a quirk? I'm a normal kid without any powers. Could I ever hope to be someone like you? All Might thinks to himself. Without a quirk? Well, People think I don't have a chance, and not having some kind of power is making me a weakling. My classmates like to make fun of me, but you know what? That makes me want to prove them wrong. Ever since I was a kid, I thought saving people is the coolest thing you can do. I want people to see me, fearless smile and feel safe, and be the kind of hero everyone looks up to, just like you. As Izuku continued, Eri noticed the smoke emanating from the hero, and panic began to paint over her face. It's just that I wanted to be a hero since I was a little kid. I may not have a quirk, but I can still try my hardest, can't I? As Izuku looked to the face of his idol, he came face to face with a figure that was almost completely skin and bone. Ah! Deku shrieked. Wait, what happened? You deflated? Where did All Might go? You're not him! You're a fake, an imposter! The now deflated All Might sighed to himself. I assure you I am. Before the hero could finish, a fountain of blood came spilling out from his mouth, prompting another shriek of fear out of Izuku. Eri, who had been standing in shock while the whole scene unfolded, decided to at least make an attempt to play along, as to not arouse suspicion. All Might? What's going on? Eri asked, wincing at her poor performance. However, Izuku seemed still too in shock to register anything else. All Might, however, realized the girl's intention and decided to play along. How can I explain this to you guys? All Might spoke up. You know how guys at the pool are always sucking in and flexing, trying to hold their bluff? I'm like that. Eri, still trying to play her part, tried to maintain a shocked face. The kind of shock that one would have over a plot twist to a soap opera on TV. One look at Izuku, however, and many would think someone told him that Godzilla himself was coming to attack. This can't be real! Izuku screamed. No, I'm dreaming. All Might is a fearless man who saves everyone. He defeats all obstacles and wins the day with a fearless smile. All Might simply gave a dry laugh at that point. Yeah, there's plenty of fear behind that smile. I'm counting on you to keep your mouth shut. Don't go talking about this online or telling your friends. All Might lifts up his shirt to reveal a nasty scar on his left abdomen, causing Izuku to go even paler than the ghostly white already painted his face. Pretty gross, right? I got this from a big fight 5 years back. My respiratory system was basically destroyed. I lost my whole stomach. All the surgeries have pretty much worn me out, and it can't be fixed. Right now, I can only do work for about 3 hours a day. The rest of the time, this is what I look like. No way, Izuku thought aloud. 5 years ago? So does that mean it was the fight with Toxic Chainsaw? All Might looked surprised. Wow, you know your stuff, the pro replied. But no, the punk may have landed some hits on me, but he couldn't bring me down. Most of the world has never heard of this fight. I did everything I could to keep it under wraps. I'm supposed to be the guy who always smiles, right? I'm the symbol of peace. People everywhere have to think that I'm never afraid. But honestly, I smile to hide the fear inside. It's just a brave face I put on when the pressure is high. This job isn't easy. Izuku couldn't help but let out a shaky gasp, while Eri just looked on at the now bony hero in dismay. All Might spared a glance at Izuku before letting out a disappointed sigh. Pro heroes are always risking their lives. Some villains just can't be beaten without power. So no, I honestly don't think you can be a hero without a quirk. Izuku looked back at his idol, heartbroken, while Eri was shocked. She looked at the hero in disappointment, which All Might looked hurt by. However, he steeled himself as he continued to talk. If you want to help people, there's plenty of other ways to do it. You can become a police officer. They get crap because the heroes capture most of the villains. But it's a fine profession. It's not bad to have a dream, young man. Just make sure your dreams are obtainable. Realistic. Understand? All Might let another series of coughs escape him. He then motioned to the bottle that contained the villain from earlier. Now, let's get you to the station. All Might froze as he went to grab thin air. The bottle was gone. Not a moment later, an explosion was heard in the distance. Another villain? Eri thought aloud. All Might grunted in frustration as he regained his muscular form. He prepared to jump away, but not before looking toward the two teens. As I said before, just knock on the door. Someone should be here sooner or later. As he looked at Eri and the disappointment and betrayal on her face hurt the pro hero in a way he hadn't felt in years. He gave the girl an apologetic glance before jumping away. Eri kept her eyes trained on the blonde hero until he was out of eyeshot. She then turned her attention to Izuku, who began to do what he was told and bang on the door. Eri could see that he was trying to hold back tears. Izuku? Midoriya didn't answer, instead clenching his fist and banging the door even harder. Eri took a step forward toward her classmate. Izuku, please talk to me. You heard him, Izuku finally responded. Even All might think so. There's no hope for me. I can't be a hero without a quirk. A single tear escaped the boy's eye. Maybe Kat-chan is right. How can I be any good if I'm not even able to hold my own? Eri wanted to argue, but found the words dying in her mouth. All Might's words swayed her thoughts. Does Uncle Yagi really believe that? I mean, he's a pro hero. Maybe he has a point, but that would mean... Eri looked at the now sullen form of Izuku before slapping her face slightly, a frustrated look on her face. No, this isn't the time for self-doubt. Someone needs help. Eri walked to Izuku before grasping his hands in hers. Izuku, Eri spoke. Look, people like All Might, they don't always have the right answers. Maybe from their perspective, he doesn't think you can be a hero, but that's just one man. Regardless of whatever status he has, there have been plenty of heroes who have had, understand, I mean no rude intent towards these people, but rather weak quirks, and yet they've still made it. Izuku looked at Eri, his eyes foggy. Yeah, sure, thank you, the boy half-heartedly sputtered out. Eri could tell he didn't mean a syllable of that statement, but before she could go back to her well-meaning tirade, they heard a knock from the balcony door. Hey, we heard a commotion up here. Is anyone there? Yeah. Could you open up the door so we can get back home? Izuku said. Eri could hear the false relief in his voice. She wanted to say something more. She wanted to reach out with some magical statement that would alleviate his pain. Like some miracle cure. But try as she might, she couldn't think of anything. So instead, she just trudged along with Izuku down the building, an uncomfortable silence growing between the two. Elsewhere in the city, Bakugou was strutting along the streets. His two cronies from class were behind him, following like leashed dogs. Can you really believe those two losers, Bakugou? The crony to his left sneered. Trying to act like they could outclass you? Pfft, as if. Crony number 2 chimed in. Bakugou's way more powerful than those nerds can ever dream of. Bakugou simply rolled his eyes in response. Typical of those extras. That's what they were to him. That's what they all were to him. Whether they tried to suck up to him or play some big game, Bakugou knew reality. He knew the reality that he was ready for the big leagues. He felt it within him, a fiery spark that he has yet to see be outclassed. His God-given right to be the best of the best. Everything and everyone else in his path were simply stepping stones, waiting to be crushed under his might. Still though, it didn't make any of their mindless babble any less annoying. Are they that thick that they can't realize how insignificant they are? Or is this some kind of pathetic coping mechanism? Bakugou didn't care to figure out, so he simply tuned them out and kept on walking. Eventually, however, Bakugou realized the voices grew silent. He looked over his shoulder to see the two cronies booking it. Odd, but at least they finally got the idea. Bakugou went to continue on his route home, but was stopped dead in his tracks by a substance restraining his limbs and covering his mouth. Finally, the menacing pile of human goo spoke. A new bodysuit. Now be a good host and stay quiet. As Izuku and Eri walked away from the building and towards the house, neither could find any words to come out their mouth. Every other minute or so, one would try to start small talk, but they'd find the words dying at the tips of their lips. As such, they walked consistent of a joint effort of awkward silence. As the teens reached the corner, they found a crowd surrounding an alleyway. Izuku and Eri looked at each other in confusion before shuffling through the mass of people to see the source of the commotion. What they found shook them both to their core. Standing dead smack in the middle of the alleyway was the sludge villain from earlier in the day. He was surrounded by numerous pros. None of the heroes approached him, all extremely hesitant. The reason for that was that the villain had a hostage within his grasp. There was smoke and flames surrounding the scene, so much that so many bystanders were coughing due to the flames. Wait, Izuku stuttered. Is that... Fucking let me go and die! came the muffled screams of an ashen blonde trap within the villain's gooey confines. Both Izuku and Eri's blood ran cold at the sound of the rage-fueled screams. It was none other than their classmate, Katsuki Bakugou. "All of this is because of me," was the muttered statement that escaped a frightened Izuku's lips. His entire frame was shaking as though he experienced an earthquake. Eri was none the better, looking at her hands as though her flesh were about to morph into a hideous creature in any minute. How could she let this happen? She joined Izuku in this foolish adventure without a second critical thinking. She was being careless. She was being stupid. She was being... "Hey kid, get back here!" Eri was pulled out of her thoughts as she heard the yell of a man she recognized as the pro hero Death Arms. In front of him was a sight that would forever be ingrained into the brunette's memory. Izuku Midoriya, running towards the sludge villain, tears streaming from his face, his form showing hopeless abandon. Eri's world came to a screeching halt. She felt most of her senses go numb. All that registered to her was the sight of Midoriya, desperately pulling away chunks of slime as she heard the vague notes of a conversation between the green-haired boy and his ashen blonde counterpart. She desperately wanted to join him, to aid him in his hopeless crusade, and so, without a second of critical thinking, Eri rushed to follow Izuku. How long it took her to reach her classmates, she did not know, nor did she care. All her priorities at the moment were to free Bakugou. It seemed Izuku had the same mindset, only paying her a split second of recognition before returning to his task. Try as they might, however, all of their efforts were instantly squandered, as each time they tore out a piece of gunk, a new mass would take its spot. Nonetheless, they kept on tearing out sludge, even as their bodies began to be wrapped by the substance. It was a losing battle. All seemed hopeless. Bakugou, in his panic, let out an explosion from inside the villain. The heroes rushed to the scene, hoping to save the civilians. However, they were moved out the way by a new force. A strong gust of wind swept through the alley, chunks of debris flying about. The sludge villain was knocked back a little. Eri and Izuku looked up to see All Might, in his muscular form with his trademark smile. He looked at the kids, expression unwavering. "I really am pathetic," the hero explained. A sad humor fell in his tone. "All Might?" Izuku questioned, his mouth slightly agape. "I told you the traits that make a great champion," the hero spoke in a strained voice. "But I see I wasn't living up to my own ideals." At that last word, the hero broke his previously trapped arm free of the goo, before winding back his fist. "Pros are always risking their lives. That's the true test of a hero." By now, the sludge villain was more than annoyed at the situation at hand. "Damn you, All Might," the creature snarled. All Might paid no heed to the villain's comment, instead taking a step back as he prepared to land a mighty blow. "Detroit Smash!" the number one hero yelled triumphantly, before smashing his behemoth of a hand into the goo. Almost instantly, the villain was blasted into a bunch of tiny pieces. A torrent of wind spawned from the hero's punch, spiraling into a small tornado. All Might grabbed Eri and Izuku by their shirt collars, whilst bringing in Bakugou into his body to prevent the teens from flying away. If Eri and Izuku could describe their feelings in one word, the term they'd eventually come to would be numb. Even as the pros lambasted them for running towards a dangerous criminal, even though they ironically applauded Bakugou for causing quite the scene with his explosion, the two couldn't quite process the events of the day. So much had happened to the both of them that, even as they walked home, they couldn't exactly see today as anything other than fictional, a fantasy that they made up in their heads. For Izuku, his worldwide view had been shattered and reshaped multiple times. He came knocking to death's door, saw something that he knows he definitely was not supposed to be, told by his idol that his dreams wasn't worth pursuing, and to top it all off, nearly died trying to save someone who treated him equivalently to dirt for nearly his entire childhood. For Eri, however, her mind raced to different things. How could her uncle Yagi, someone whom she always saw as this unwavering symbol of hope and courage for others like her, say something so depressing? Even though she knew he was more grounded when not in form, she never thought she became that pessimistic. Still though, with what he said when saving them for the second time that day, maybe she should take up Uncle Aizawa's self-defense training. Eri was pulled out of her train of thought when she looked up to see Izuku wasn't standing next to her anymore. Curiosity overtaking her, she went back a few streets to see Izuku, on his knees crying. Next to him was All Might, and the next thing he said made Eri's eyes nearly bulge out of her skull.
Young man, you too can become a hero.
Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things I'd like to go over before this video ends. Firstly, we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes into the deep facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series guaranteed. On top of that, we have a third channel called We the Celestials Naruto What If. It's what we do on this channel already, but in the vast world and lore of Naruto. Go check it out if you're in the mood for some jutsu action. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestial, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I would like to extend our invitation to join the team. The only caveat being, we can only accept members 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. Our Discord is an all-round fantastic place to be. Whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits, we're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and have a great day.